So today we are going to talk not as much as automation, but how to build a community, a quality engineering chapter. So what we are going to discuss here, it's a little bit about uh, what is a chapter, how we can create a quality engineering chapter, but most of all, some best practices to follow, pitfalls to avoid, and I will share a little bit about my experience in creating one chapter during the pandemic. So let me start talking a little bit about myself. So I am a senior manager. I work today at CINT. CINT is a digital transformation company, and I'm also a strategist. I love design thinking, and I want and quality is one of my first um, child. I know quality before I had any kids, and I am an innovator. I love testing, and I love to bring value to the customer with lean and also digital transformation. I am a speaker. I speak international conferences and also international conferences in agile engineering with how to bring quality into this agile world is really interesting. I have more than 20 years in experience. I used to be the head of the Brazil test services in Brazil at IBM, and I start to play a little bit with intelligent automation, RPA, and cognitive at Avanade. And I have my two kids here, Arthur and Isadora. They are teenagers. I love dogs, so I have 19 dogs, 18 chihuahuas, and my husband he's also into this QA word, DevOps and QA. So we talk a lot together into several places. And so let's start a little bit with what I'm here to talk about. What is this chapter? So what is chapter? Why do we would need this chapter? So when you are into a company, when you are into an organization that really is organized into an agile way, so they organize themselves in tribes, in squads, and they are really self-organized, they are independent, and they are organized in a way to deliver the best product for their client. So they all work independently, they are multifunctioning, and they all work towards the best product for their customer, their client, and they are focused on this. But how we can share all the knowledge, all the learnings, all the experiments that all of those tribes are doing, if all of these tribes they are independent and multidisciplinary. So this is something that I have faced. So I joined this huge contract, and we have all these teams working, and each one was doing everything so marvelous about QA and knowing the tools and doing several experiments with quality, but they were doing independently. So how we were able to do this? How the teams would know what was going on? And this was something that we were considering and we were thinking. And that is where we have this thing, this tool, this instrument that can really help us is the chapter or communities or guilds. So when we think about safe concepts, we talk about chapters if we are inside the same value streams. But if we are cross value streams, then we talk about guilds. So what is this chapter? The chapter is a community of people that works in the same domain for the same company or the same contract, and they are interested in the same issues. So in the same interests, in the same things and issues and things and the same relationships, and it could be tools, could be anything. So we can create chapters, we can create communities about anything. We can choose whatever we want to create the chapters, the communities. N- Here I'm talking about the chapters for quality engineering, but it's really important for all of us to understand that the chapter of practice, the community of practice, they can be built for anything. So we can build a chapter for quality engineering. We can build a chapter for automation. We can build a practice for architecture, for project managers, for agile. We can build a chapter for anything that is relevant for our company, for our organization, that will enhance, that will improve our team and our experience as engineers, as technologists. This is really important. So the chapters, the communities, they come together to bring us, to help us, to share all the knowledge, all the experiments, all the issues we face into our daily activities. And also, we are able to understand that maybe the issue I'm facing in my project is the same issue that the other squad is facing into another in their project, and they already solved this with some tool or with some other framework, and they have the best practice to implement this, and we can share this knowledge, and we can use this as an accelerator, and we can use this to improve our engineering experience to work together. So the chapter, the community is really important for us and will help us to improve our daily to daily sense of belonging and also our well-being. So, but what is it for? So as I told you, the chapter will how is it working? So we do this by recurring meetings to exchange information and experiences. We do this by sharing the lessons learned, and we are able to make fearless mistakes and learn fast. This is really, really important because we create a safe environment where we can be able to make mistakes, to share our mistakes, and to help each other into this community of practice. This is one of the most important things here, also to generate a sense of belonging and community. So one of the issues that I noticed is that we had in our squad five, six developers and one QA. And in another squad, the same thing. And most of the times, my quality engineering, he felt alone. He didn't feel as he belonged. So when we created this chapter for all the quality engineering, talking about quality, talking about stealing the quality, the built-in quality mindset into the teams, and also assisting the developers, assisting the architects with the quality, bringing the whole team based approach into the squads, they start to feel like they were part of something else, not only part of this minor part of the squad, but part of the bigger picture of the quality of the product, of the quality of the company. And their work was better. They start to feel better about themselves and their job as well. One other thing, many heads are better than one. So they think better. So we were able to find better solutions for any given issue. So, for example, we had some framework that was not good, or we have someone else using a Spock framework that was really good and we're able to implement it. So this was really good, and we start to share ideas and we start to work with some problems that one team had, and everyone was thinking together. And it we had a unique and safe place for exchanges, for questions, and transparency. So we create this community, we create this safe place for everyone to be able to share their experiences. And how we can start with this? First of all, when is to get the feedback. So understand uh, why do we need this chapter? Why do we need this community? And identify the need of the community. So, do I really need the community? Why? After I understand, get the feedback, and understand the need of the community, I need to start to understand who will be the possible members. So, for my chapter, who will be the members? What roles will be the members? And after these roles, I will get the roles. And how will I find the person that has those roles? So I start to identify the possible members. After I know what my community needs and who will be part of this community, I will organize the first meeting. I will think about a catch name for the community, or even better, I will get this group with some fake name and say, let us do a contest for a name for the community. Let's do a contest for a logo for the community, for a mascot for the community, to engage the people for this community, for this chapter. Think about the goals of the community. What do we want to achieve as a community? Do we want to share, only to share the learnings? We want to bring innovation from the market. We want to help everyone else. We want to increase, to improve their skills. We want to do some dojos. So think about the goals of the community. Establish a communication channel. Where would be this channel be? Will be Slack, will be a chat, where? And establish this communication channel and publish this communication channel. Invite other people for the community. Make mouth to mouth publicly. Make also the uh, be bring the community to everyone. So be make it possible to everyone, invite everyone. The community is for everyone, not only for one administrator. Everyone is part of the community, and everyone runs the community itself. Prepare the first team for the community to run. Then put this into community backlog. So prepare the first team and have some teams for the next meetings as the backlog, and have this in hand, and get to know the people that will be part of the community, their issues, what is going on, and meet and meet again. Community is all about the people. This is really, really, really important. And be aware. What are the issues you may found? What are the pitfalls you may found that probably you will find some issues with it, and you see that your community won't start correctly. So you may not find the right people as members. You may not understand the need of the community before created. So if you don't identify correctly what is the need of the community before you created, people won't be interested about it. So it's really important that you understand why you need this community, why you need this chapter before you create it. We can't just go creating chapters just because people need the community and needs to understand what they are going to have from this community, what is the value from the community. So why is so this is why it's so important for us to really understand the pain point of our people before starting to create the community, to understand what are the goals, and to to have decentralized place to share the communication. If you don't have decentralized place, people won't be able to know where to look for information. And I'm not talking only about the channel. The channel is really important, but also a folder where you can put all the files, the information that you already will share with the people and will be there for later reference. Be diverse and inclusive, so everyone is invited. Everyone can invite everyone. So this is really important, and always be open to feedback and always evolve as a community. If you see and if you understand that something is not working, you fail fast and you learn from it. And we do continuous improvement over and over and over again. So I'm going to talk about this success case. This was really interesting because we did this during the pandemic, and it was completely virtual. So it was, as I told you, I start into this project, this huge contract. We were like 200 people working for the same customer, and we were 10 tribes 10 tribes and 30 squads working. And when I joined the team, and I always love it a lot, quality. And what I start to see is that we had several ways to make the testing strategy. So I start to talk to one QA, and then other QA, and then scrum master, squad leader, a senior manager, and I understand that we didn't have a standardized way to make a testing strategy, and the test concepts. For example, the test pyramid, what is integration testing, what is component testing, these concepts, the role of the QA within the squad, they were not consistent, they were not standardized, and the QAs were feeling really alone, and they weren't feeling part of this bigger whole, and they didn't have a purpose. They were just there, and most of sometimes they weren't part of the planning, or they were like, you need to do end-to-end automation testing, or you do all manual testing. So they were a little bit lost sometimes. And so this huge customer we had several acceleration tools, such as test data management tools, automation frameworks, environment virtualization tools, and they didn't know the tools and accelerators at their disposal. Some tribes know a little bit, some other know another part. Some were using here, one using there, one was using one framework, one was using other framework, and it was all sparse, all divided, all a little bit fire everywhere. And we had several same efforts into several tribes. So people were doing duplicated efforts everywhere. And also they and understand what they were and how quality efforts were organized. So first of all, what I did was I launched a form to understand who, what they were doing as quality. So I did this using Google Forms for everyone, all the tribes, all the squads, for all the architects and developers and QAs, to understand what types of testing they were doing, where they were doing, what types of tools they were doing, just to get a little grasp of the pain points they were having in terms of the and what tools they were using, etc., etc. And then with this research, qualitative and quantitative research, we start to understand a little bit better the pain points as well. So I was able to kind of understand, and I talk a lot with several peoples from several tribes. So I start to pull a little bit from here, pull a little bit from there. I start to understand what was going on from several places. And while I was doing this, I also start to identify some people that were really in love and had a lot of passion for the subject and wanted to help me with this, with to bring knowledge or to share knowledge to everyone. So after we were able to understand our community, because what I was doing is really to understand our community. So I understand what the community needs, I understand what would be the goals for the community. I was able to understand the pain points, and I get also, I try to understand the people that could be the strategic persons in some of the tribes to help me to bring others into the game. And I also get I was able to get some teams already that was interesting for us to start with. For example, test concepts, test pyramid. This was our first team to standardize, to normalize the knowledge between all of us. So this was really important. After this, I say, okay, so how can we start? So I open a channel that we call strategic squad, with this some people that were really interested in making this happen. We were a lot of teams, as I told you, so I needed to get help. I wasn't able to do this alone. No one is able to do anything alone. So I get help from a lot of people, and we got together and I say, okay, so what we are going to do, are we going to do just with QAs? And they say, no, we need the architects and we need some devs with us as well. So I talked to human resources and I asked to from them the help for everyone that has the role for a tester, for a quality assurance, and also the architect. So we create this channel, this big channel with all the list for all the quality assurance and architects. And we create the channel and we publish it. The first message saying welcome. We invited you all. This is a channel that we want to share all of experience for all the quality efforts, all the testing and quality efforts for our customer. So we put the name as quality engineering, the name of the customer, and then the first message, the pinned message was just to say the objective of the channel, saying, okay, here is what we intend to do. This is what is this chapter about. And we use it in abuse of referrals. So mouth to mouth was of great importance, and because we had new QAs entering every time. So we allow everyone to invite everyone. So the QAs were able to invite other QAs. The architects invited other architects. We had the leadership, the senior managers being invited as well, because we noticed that sometimes leadership didn't understand testing and quality the way they should, and they couldn't defend our the quality the way it should be done. So the QAs refer other QAs, and they would refer the other roles, and we got momentum, a lot of momentum, because people were really excited to have a common place to share problems, to share solutions, and to share what was going on between them. So it was really interesting because people were really engaged and they were really interesting to have a common place to share experiences about it. So with the list of the QAs and architects with the human resources, and we put the chat name customer quality engineering, we gave autonomy for the members to add more members. We put the purpose of the chapter published in the chat, and also we asked for the feedback. So into the chat we did the poll, what do we want to see here? And then we actively listen for the members, and we start to listen and to bring something as well, and always with transparent communication. So we did the dissemination of meetings, ideas, experiences, and feedback, and retro feedback as well. So we start to put the meetings, we start to talk. What do you think we should bring here? What are the topics you think is the most important for you guys? What are we going to do? Do you know this too? Do you want us to talk about this? What do you think about that? And then we will start to bring the people into the conversation. We would mark the people, and we start to talk with the people and bring people into the conversation. This was really, really important. So people would start to be part the of the community as well, and they would bring more ideas and more and more. So what we did in the first meeting, we scheduled with the test pyramid, and we did the dissemination with the first meeting in all online communication channels. So not only in the channel for the chapter, but for the common channel for all the customer, and the leadership channel, and all the channels that we had. We published that the meeting would start. So we had some people that were not in the channel already, and they saw the meeting and they enter and they like it and they start to go there. And also what we did was to put the recording to watch later and be more inclusive. And all the recordings for all the meetings we would store into that folder for later reference. And also the materials that we would put there, we put as later reference as well. And the first meeting was an alignment on QA concepts, and what for us we found was the biggest pain point of all was the role of the QA. So it was really important for us, and for us to have the architects and devs as well, was to align that the QA was the keeper of quality, the keeper of the business, but he was not the one that would ensure quality, because quality is a whole based team approach. So he would help developers, he would help with the strategy, he would help to implement the testing strategy, but he will not ensure to have the quality. So we worked a lot with this along with the architects, and we have several meetings that the architects would present along with the quality engineering together, so we have both of them working together to have more power and a lot of experience exchange. So we would ask into this squad, into this tribe, how are you working? What is the concept you are using? How is the role? So we did a lot of experience exchange, and people we started to know each other. So this was really interesting because before the first meeting, before the chapter, people didn't know who were the QAs that were working into the contract, into this customer. So they started to know each other, they started to know each faces, and they started to reach out to each other. This was really, really interesting to see they starting to reach out to each other, uh, off the channel, off the chapter, and to see how they start to make those connections and to work together as well. So what we were able to accomplish is that we were able to get 95 people part of the chapter, the QE chapter, among QA, architects, developers, and some leadership. So we don't have only QAs into this quality engineering chapter. We have all of the roles together. So we have exchanges about frameworks, we have a round table, we have some Spock conversations, how to generate an automated test pyramid, how to do unit testing, how to use test data management, how to use some accelerators. We had 12 different topics presented and shared with others, and all of these meetings, they were all recorded, and the materials were presented, and we had all of these 16 meetings all presented. And when new people were onboarded, they were referred to the folder, and they were there seeing the folder, and they would watch, and they will talk to us, also enter into the chapter, and will reach out to the people that create the material and presented the material, because it was not only one person presenting. Every tribe, every squad was presenting what they were doing, and to try to replicate into other squads. So they will reach out to them to ask more questions about this or about that topic. This was really interesting about this. So we were able to generate a lot of buzz, a lot of things because of this. So this was really interesting how we were able to create this momentum and keep that going. And what we learned with all of this, so we were able to understand that uh, it's really important for us to involve everyone, not only the QAs. If we had involved only the QAs, the conversations we had weren't going to be as rich as they were. This is really important because when we were able to bring the architects, the developers, and leadership as well, we were able to have a much more richer conversation. The architects were a fundamental piece for the chapter, for the quality engineering chapter to work. And they were also many times the the pillar that helped to implemented several learnings that we had into the other tribes. Without them, many of the learnings that we had, that we have shared, will not be implemented into other tribes. And advertise it. We need to we needed to advertise it a lot. So to be able to advertise the chapter and to keep the momentum going, and also to get new topics, to get new teams. So many times we had a Trello, and we did with the Trello to get this backlog of teams, and to always keep asking the community what other teams do you want to bring, and also to research new topics, new teams into the market as well, to bring innovation. Many times when we are working to the customer, we are so with so many things to do, uh, with so many wrap up into us, that we are unable to look for new things into the market. So it's really worthwhile for us to stop, to breathe, and to oxygenate a little bit, to receive new ideas, new tools, new things that exist out there that can bring new ideas and new ways of doing things. Collect the greatest pain points and questions, and set up the first meetings about these topics. This is one of the most important things. The first meetings need to address the biggest, the greatest pain points your community have, the greatest questions your community has. You need to address those in the first meeting. You need to help your community the biggest way possible. You need to impact them in the first meeting, and then continue impacting them. Find engaged people who want to help on the chapter. We cannot do this by ourselves. We can't do this alone. We need to find engaged people, and always have engaged people. So find those people and use those people as leverage. Use those people to help us to advertise and to bring this chapter to a whole new level. And also add the topics to the backlog and organize it visually. Use Trello, use whatever tool you want, use post-its into the wall, really don't matter, but use this to organize yourself and your people in order to be able to see what you need to do and what are the greatest topics you need to go. Keep the chapter alive with relevant topics and interesting chat discussions. Ask all and do it once weekly, always continue doing. Ask powerful, thought provoking questions, and keep the conversation going. Always keep the conversation going. It's really many times it's easy to start a chapter, but it's way more challenging to keep the momentum going. Don't let our works, don't let the hurry of the day to distract yourself from this. This is to keep this chapter going, to keep the community going, is one of the things that is most rewarding for the community and for the improving to 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 improve your morale of the team. It's really important to keep the momentum going and do not let yourself away from this. So always go back to this, encourage new people to share new topics, to share experiences, to share the learnings, and also find a way to reward the people. And it doesn't need to be money, but reward them with the knowledge, reward the people. Do meetups with the community, do hackathons, do testathons, but do the things and reward the people that are sharing the most with the community, with the chapter as well. And encourage, always encourage people publicly. So you always say thanks to this, thanks to Maria that helped me, thanks to John that helps me. This is really important. So the community, the chapter, many times looks like this is really a lot of work, and maybe a lot of work, but it's really important for the work, for the people, and for the efficiency and for the quality of the work. Everyone will feel better when we do this.